Gang stalking is a framework of social control of group of people, and this framework can be used by any system, even non-government system, to attempt to control an individual or group of people without doing anything illegal in the control framework. From this fact, things are very clear that whoever wants to gang stalk the T, they don't want to do anything illegal as a part of gang stalking. Gang stalking allows to inflict enormous pain to the T. Gang stalking is planned in such a way the actions involved in the T gang stalking are designed considering the loopholes in the law. Once the stalkers are successful in turning the perception of the T develops mood disorder. And for the perp, programmed anchors when occur normally in life will trigger a bad mood for the T, even if it is a normal life occurrence and not the GS event. And the T views all the person who displays this gesture or anchor as a perp because of the influence of the forced mood disorder. T gang stalking spoils the ego identity and confidence of the T and don't allow the T to reach a successful life. If the T achieves successful life or influential life, then the T cannot be controlled. Consider a case where if the RU government know that a particular person will compulsorily involve in crime or antisocial activities, then the government can confine them. For example, psychopathic person will compulsorily harm public and this type of people will be confined. But in the case of person with narcissistic or sociopathic psychology or something similar in concept, the government cannot confine them, because the probability that the person with such psychology involving in antisocial activities varies from person to person. And the probability that the person will involve in antisocial activities depends on numerous factors. If the government still confines the person, then it is like punishing an innocent person for the sole reason that the government suspects the person who may involve in illegal activities, who didn't commit anything illegal. Similar to the above concept, if the RU government or a RU criminal system who wishes to control a person who didn't involve himself in crime, then gang stalking is the only way to do it, and this rationalizes the use of gang stalking on Ts. Consider a T going to a shopping mall and perps managers are planning for a GS in the shopping mall. To perform GS in the shopping mall they require people to perform GS, not just one or two can do GS in a shopping mall. Now to perform GS they can request people in the mall to GS, which requires time. By the time the perp managers request each and everyone, the T will finish shopping and leave the mall. Or the perp managers can mobilize the part-time gang stalkers to mall from volunteers group who know how to gang stalk and can do gang stalking with less supervision. If the perps or gang stalking planners want to perfectly determine the outcome of gang stalking, they should involve trained gang stalkers who has prior gang stalking experience. And if this case is true, if there are part-time gang stalkers and if they are trained prior, then GS activity is pre-planned and well-managed activity with huge fund. Even if the funds are available for GS activity, how many of the perps will be willing to dedicate their time for GS at time convenient for the perp managers, and how the GS managers mobilize or collect the trained gang stalkers from a different location and move them to the shopping mall where GS activity is planned. The system is well funded and the fund magnitude is comparable with the national scheme's budget. The perps who are part of the GS system or T social control easily manages to turn the public against the T for the GS session. Why does the public turn so easily, and what reason is explained for the public to make them to agree for the perps request in the T stalking? Does the public turn because the GS session involves nothing illegal? Mostly it involves coughing, bumping into the T, or other simple inconvenience. Or the public is given money to take part in the GS session and stalk the T. If the perps give money to take part in the GS session, then who funds the GS sessions, which happens 365 days a year, and what is the magnitude of the money funded for gang stalking the T? And who can fund so much money? The public is turned because the organizers and the perpetrators of organized gang stalking use a false causes pretext and lies to fool and motivate the public and the perpetrators involved. They use a pretext to cover and attempt to justify their harassment and terrorism of the targeted individual. Considering the points discussed above, the magnitude of fund required for gang stalking is huge and depends on severity of control. The money required for gang stalking increases. If the GS manager wants to organize the gang stalking activity for every day, then they has to employ at least 100 for a medium severity control of T. How much is the average living cost of a perp getting involved in the GS? Say the average living cost of $4,000 for a month. And per day living cost will be around $130. Since the perps are normally part-time workers, then the cost will be less, so let us consider the cost is $100 per day per perp involved in the gang stalking. So for 100 perps per day the cost will be $10,000 and per year cost will be $3,600,000. $3.6 million per year, only for part-time workers. This cost is excluding the professionals like psychologist, public department resources, GS managers, GS perps mobilizers, cost for transportation, cost of the machines in the case of DU, V2S or V2K, technologies such as remote neural monitoring and mind control and their operation cost. And cost for research for GS and aiding technologies? What is the cost for gang stalking across countries? What will be the total cost? What is the maximum money any non-governmental organization can collect? Will any non-governmental organization